Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa Tui, and I'm the Director of Education here at Ozobot. I'm joined with Anthony. Anthony, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, howdy. Anthony here with Ozobot, been part of the team since 2015 and excited to share some Ozobot basics with y'all.
Yeah.
I already can't talk. It's the end of the day.
So welcome, everyone. We're really excited to have you. We're going to go through our agenda and then jump right into our webinar here today. So we're going to go over some housekeeping items. Anthony's going to give us an intro to Ozobot and 2 ways to code demo. We're going to talk about our video lessons and all of the wonderful content that our education team has put together as resources for you. And then we will end with Q&A and wrap up. So just a few friendly reminders. As a participant and an attendee, your camera is already automatically off and your mic is also turned off as well. So you don't have to worry about muting yourself or turning off your video. We have Ozobot team members, Crystal and Heather, in the audience helping us monitor the chat. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and use the chat feature or the Q&A feature. We will be following up and answering questions at the end of this webinar. You can upvote and comment on one another's questions and answers in Q&A as well, or comment with your own insight. And if you do use the chat feature, please make sure to send the message to everybody. That too field defaults to panelists and attendees, but I'm sorry, hosts and panelists, but we'd love everyone to see your messages. Also, after this webinar, the slides and recording will be available on our webinar page and on YouTube. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We'd love to know who's in the audience today. We're going to start with a poll, and we'd love to know how familiar everyone is with Ozobot. So we'll give everyone about 30 seconds to answer the first poll question. About 10 more seconds left. All right, so it looks like we have a wide range of familiarity with Ozobots. We have people that currently own and use them in the classroom all the way to brand new. So we will have something for everybody today. Great, so we're gonna move on to the second poll question. We'd love to know the grades that everybody is representing here this evening. We'll give everyone about 30 seconds. About 10 more seconds. All right, looks like we have representation from K through 12. So welcome everybody. We're excited to see you and to be speaking with you today. All right, I will also launch the very last poll question. We'd love to know what subjects y'all are most interested in teaching. We'll give everyone about 30 seconds to answer. About 10 more seconds. All right, and it looks like most of us are here for the technology aspect, but all of STEAM is represented. So we're very excited to have you all here today. Before we jump into Ozobot and the content of what we provide, we want to set the context a little bit. It sounds like everybody through the chat and in the polls do represent either computer science teachers or elementary school teachers or are tied to STEAM in some way. We know that computer science instruction is super important because states are mandating computer science education through the implementation of standards. We know that teachers are not prepared to teach the content. They don't have very many opportunities to either get certified in computer science specifically or to pursue professional development around their computer science teaching practices. We also know that low socioeconomic and highly diverse schools have less access to CS instruction than their high SES counterparts. So we know that there is an equity gap here, and Ozobot is here to help make your life easier so that you can reach more students and that you can implement CS and make it easier for yourself and give all of your students the opportunity to engage with computer science. So with that, I am going to pass it over to Anthony to talk about Ozobot and to give us the demo.
Sounds good. And before I jump into that, just wanted a little bit more on like why computer science, a little bit like my experience with it. My background, I got a degree in marketing, went to school for that and started off doing marketing for Ozobot. And at first I was doing social media marketing and all that fun stuff, but transitioned into a role doing marketing automation. And if you don't know what marketing automation is, a lot of it is based on computational science principles and stuff like that. A lot of working with conditionals, functions, a lot of if-then logic to build. Algorithms would be a little bit stretch if I said that, but to build logic around how information is sent to people. And I only say that because, I never thought I would need these skills, but it's something that happened in my own career. And I know with COVID, we all saw the explosion of technology and the necessity of tech literacy in general. And then beyond that, just in my general life, when I look at the health and wellness industry, when I look at financial literacy, the people who I follow and are really leading innovation in those industries are people in technology and have that computational thinking and engineering design process mindset. And it's pretty cool how they've evolved. If you're in the health and wellness, I'm very much in the biohacking world. Financial literacy, I'm very much in the Choosify world. So lots of interesting things from engineers and how they're influencing all aspects of our life. But what is Ozobot? So we make a computer science education hands-on for students and easy for all educators. It's a robotic platform. The great thing about Ozobot, it's one solution for all grade levels, K-12. We're in 30,000 plus schools, and really the great thing about it, it's hands-on and it's something that you can use across subjects and skill levels. So it's really nice to have something. You might use BBots for those lower grades or Lego Robotics for, and I don't mean to, they are great solutions, but usually it's focused around a particular grade level, right? The great thing about Ozobot is you can use across grade bands and across concepts. And we can jump to the next slide. So how does it work? I can say that at a high level, but what what is it? So they are 1-inch robots. It's desktop friendly, has Bluetooth capabilities, and it's powered by 2 ways to code. And what really makes us unique is our color codes with markers and paper. So whether if you as an educator are not too familiar with computational concepts or new to it, it's very friendly for both students and teachers, something that, markers and papers aren't scary compared to looking at a screen of code. So it's nice, easy starting point, and then we can really scale it with Ozobot Blockly, which is our drag and drop coding interface. And then, of course, supported by our content integrated lessons, we have ELA and math lessons that are aligned around Common Core state standards, and then our science lessons are aligned around NGSS. And really, that's a really big focus of what we do, the content integration, because particularly K-5, you want to touch on computer science, but there's only so much time in the day. And what better way to just incorporate it into kind of your current ELA math or science lessons. But with that, I'll dive into the demo. We'll start with color codes, and then we'll jump into Ozobot Blockly. And then, I don't know the best way to do this.
We can see your overhead camera,
Okay,
Anthony.
cool.
Yeah, it looks good.
I wasn't sure. For some reason, I see you, so that's good. As long as everybody else can see it, that is perfect.
And
So we'll get started.
Sorry, just to let everyone know in the audience, if you are having trouble seeing Anthony's overhead camera, you can go to the view in the top right corner and click on speaker and then go to full screen so that you can see all of Anthony's paper. Sorry for interrupting there.
It's a very nice paper, so you want to make sure it's full screen and pinned. Awesome. But we're going to start with color codes, and we're going to go over just the super basic aspects of it. And anytime you're using color codes, we do want to make sure we are calibrating Evo. This helps Evo understand true black and true white, and just understand the lighting in the room, just because obviously colors can be depicted differently depending on the lighting. And actually, before I jump into that, this is our Evo robot. It literally is 1 cubic inch. It does have this power button hidden right over the left wheel, a USB charger in the back, 2 proximity sensors in the front and the back so we detect objects around it. Has a speaker inside. As I mentioned earlier, it is Bluetooth enabled. And then it has the optical sensors on the bottom. That's how it's able to read the color codes and the other markers and paper and stuff like that. And then another feature that is you won't see in our tech specs, but we hear it all the time, is it's cute. So there's that. Let's see, that's a little bit small. And unfortunately, my markers are a little low. So hopefully we can get through this. And so what we're going to do to calibrate Evo is we're going to hold the power button a couple seconds until it flashes white on top. We'll let go of Evo. And if it flashes green, it was successful. And the first thing we can do is simply draw a few lines. We do want to make sure they're nice, thick lines for the robot to follow. Using the chisel tip, if you're using Ozobot markers, if you're using Crayolas, you might want to have students kind of go at this angle to get the right width, thickness of line. And if we place Evo on there, we'll see quite simply that Evo follows the line. And we can expand on that. And if we do different colors, what do you think Evo will do? Do you think Evo will still follow the line or do something else? And so if I place Evo, I'm going to make these a little bit darker. And you'll see now that when it goes on a red line, it changes red. A green line, it turns green, and a blue line, it turns blue. And it still follows the line. So super basic concepts, right? If it sees a black line, it'll follow it. If it sees a red, green, or blue line, it'll follow it. And the LEDs will change colors on top. But we also have these great things called color codes. And one of the most popular ones is Nitro Boost. So I'll do that one. And color codes are short sequences of color that tell two different things. So we have speed color codes, directionality color codes, cool moves. But in this case, we're going to do a speed code. And the color code sequence is blue, green, red. So you can see that these are a lot smaller than these lines, just really small aspect. And then for our color codes, we do have to make sure they're surrounded by the black line. So if you were doing a blue line here and a blue line here, Evo wouldn't be able to read that color code. It has to be surrounded by black. And I'm going to finish off the color code and we'll connect it to the original space. And we'll see what Nitro Boost does. And as you can tell, it goes super duper fast, just as you expect Nitro Boost does. So that's one type of color code. Another one is directionality. So if we have a path and let's do a different color. And we can do a different paper. Yeah. So if Evo goes down a path and has multiple options, what do you think Evo will do? It could go left, straight, or right. In this case, the first time it went right. The second time it went right. Let's see what third time it is. Oh, third time went left. Awesome. So all this to say, Evo makes random decisions at intersections, but you can control it. So we have a code for go left at an intersection, go straight at an intersection, and go right at an intersection. Geez, I can't talk at all. And there'd be different color codes just like this one to demonstrate it. But to be mindful of time, I'm actually going to pull one of our lessons from our pacing guide. This is a skill check. And Melissa will talk more about our pacing guide in our lessons, but I've kind of did a quick overview of color codes, line following, directionality. And this kind of leads into this skill check where students will read a sentence. So in this case, it says, Ozobot goes fast to eat a bag of chips. And you'll see that there's a line here. There's some empty spots for color codes. And then if you wanted Evo to get to a bag of chips, we would have to program Evo to do it. And we want Evo to go fast. And then in this case, there is a color code reference sheet. So students would fill in this one blue, black, blue to have it go fast. And then if they want Evo to turn right at the intersection, they would have Evo do blue, red, green. And then this would be a when exit code. And that is how that one works. And there are other examples for students to practice. So Ozobot goes slow to get into bed. So in this case, they would use a slow code, turn left to go to bed, and then so on for goes very fast. And this is for grades, is it K2? Is that right, Melissa? There's more advanced ones for 3-5. I like to show this one because this is honestly my level. Like this is a much easier to explain than the maze of 3-5, but both great resources to kind of get students up to that point. And so that's the first way to code with Ozobot using color codes with markers and paper. Obviously, you can use blank pieces of paper. A lot of educators will use butcher paper. We can also use our activity sheets, which are more guided, and Melissa will go over those resources with our instructional videos and stuff like that. The other way to program Evo is with Ozobot Blockly. And this is not Ozobot Blockly, but we'll get there. The nice thing with this dashboard is if you click the waffle on the top right, it'll link to all of our Ozobot Blockly resources. So I can click that and jump into Ozobot Blockly. And this is powered by Google Blockly. We have 5 different skill levels here. Level 1 is pre-reader. So if you are using Ozobot with K1, K2, sorry, I saw the @Anthony, but I'm guessing there's a Anthony in the audience. Anthony Grants, awesome. So 5 skill levels, level 1 is pre-reader. If you look at these blocks, there are movement blocks for speed, direction, rotation, general movements, light effects, waiting or pauses, and sounds. And then as we progress through levels, you'll find that we add more areas where students are able to program Evo, able to program the sensors, start to play with timing, logic, loops. And at the highest level, we get into math, variables, functions, arrays, lists, stuff that's beyond me, but I'm sure y'all are much more experienced with. But even something as simple as movement gets more defined. So now distance is in millimeters, speed is in millimeters per second. You can see that everything kind of progresses as you get into higher levels. The nice thing about Evo is you are able to connect via Bluetooth. So if I just turn Evo on and I click connect, you can't see it, but it opens up my Bluetooth pairing window. And I have one Evo plugged in. So I can pair that. And what we're going to do today is program Evo to play tag. And this is actually, I think this is, I'm going to mess it up. It's another lesson in our pacing guide. It's around the concept of teaching conditionals. And I think I can get away with level 3. Yes, cool. So the basic concept is we're going to program Evo to play tag. Evo is already connected via Bluetooth to Ozobot Blockly. And what happens if, say, if you're playing tag, what happens if somebody's behind you? What do you want to do? Hopefully, you want to run away really fast. And then if somebody's, same thing, if somebody's in front of you, you want to kind of turn around, run away. So we'll do that. So we'll do the first aspect of it. So if there's, actually the second, since I already pulled this one, if the person in front of you is trying to tag you, what are you gonna do? So we have some movement blocks that we can play with. I think the first thing I would do is turn around. So I'm going to do a U-turn. And then since I had to turn really quick, I'm just gonna move super duper fast because I don't want them to tag me. And then maybe since I have some space, I might try and juke them out a little bit. And because I'm so agile, they fell over. So I'm going to celebrate because I'm happy. And I don't know, I feel like showing off today. So I'm gonna do some fireworks lights to celebrate. And then this looks like a good program and it will work. But if I click run program, it'll send the program and you'll see it flickered on and off, right? So if I click it, I chose run, my hand's in front, it's not working. Because what it did is as soon as I click run, it's looking for an object in front. So what do we need to do to make this work? We need to add a loop. And we're gonna add repeat forever. So now, instead of it just doing it that one time to run the program, now it's always looking for an object in front of it. And if I put my hand there now, it turned around, went fast. Now I'm juking you out. You probably won't hear the sound, but. And then those are the fireworks lights. So hopefully, oops, sorry, I got away from the camera. It was so fast, it almost went out of the camera. So hopefully that gave you a good idea of how color codes work in Ozobot Blockly. I think I have one more slide on my end. Is that right, Melissa? And then I'll pass it off to Melissa to dive deeper into the curriculum and all of those resources. Awesome. And this is really just a recap. We've kind of said all of this before, but as a reminder, when you think of the 2 ways to code, it's really flexibility. It's something you can use across grade levels, across subjects, in all learning styles. So it's a great resource. If you're interested in getting Ozobots, feel free to reach out. If you look on our website, we are sold out right now. It's been a crazy year of interest. A lot of people, with school, everybody coming back to school and being excited about engaging students in class. That also a hands-on component like Ozobot has been super popular. But if you're interested in Ozobot, we'd love to talk more about it, see if it'd be a good fit for your program, and then maybe get you a back order so that as soon as we have it, you're one of the first to get it. We also have our hybrid. We have classroom kits, which is kind of what you would normally expect. We also have our hybrid program, if that's something you're interested in. We saw a lot of districts go one-to-one with Chromebooks and iPads, and similarly going one-to-one with Ozobots. In this case, you get access to remote-friendly lessons, a PD of 2 hours on intro to color codes, Ozobot Blockly, all of the resources. It's hands-on. It's actually led by our ED team who created all the resources. So it's a really great resource. And that third note is what we've been talking about. So lots of great aspects to this hybrid program. Classroom kits are great as well. If you ever have questions about how you can implement Ozobot, feel free to reach out, and we're here to help. And then with that, I'll pass it to Melissa to dive deeper into lessons and curriculum.
Great, thanks, Anthony. So when COVID shut down schools and things went unexpectedly for a while last school year, we as an EDU team came together and really thought about how are we still ensuring that students are getting computer science opportunities, even though their world has just turned upside down? How are we empowering teachers to still feel comfortable and able to provide that instruction, even though things are not normal and very, very much harder. And so we came up with our video lessons. And if you've been following the chat, it looks like Anthony has been using those. So I'm gonna go over some of that content. The key I would love for you all to take away from this is that it's flexible. I'm going to talk about all the components, but even Anthony used it, who's in our audience, used it a different way than what we built it for, maybe how we recommend it, which is absolutely okay because we built this with flexibility in mind. Our video lessons are currently 2nd through 8th grade with kindergarten and 1st grade coming soon. We have a recommended pacing of 1 lesson a week, and these lessons are about 45 minutes long, just depending on the grade level and developmental appropriateness for your students. And everything is standards aligned to ISTE, CSTA, and then a content standard, which would be Common Core Math, Common Core ELA, or NGSS. These are free lessons and resources that you can find in Ozobot Classroom. Every lesson plan is a full lesson plan that provides everything that you need to do the lesson. There's a synchronous lesson plan for if you're a teacher that's taught computer science for years and you're comfortable teaching this yourself, you can read that lesson plan and teach it yourself. There's also an instructional video that's student facing. So if you're less comfortable or you work with teachers who are interested, but maybe they're a little bit more hesitant to implement computer science, there's that instructional video. We've actually had certified educators who are really familiar with Ozobot and really familiar with coding say, oh, I feel super confident in teaching it, but I really love using those instructional videos because I can put it up, I can project it and play it, and then I can roam around the classroom and help students as if there's a second body in the classroom. So teachers have gotten super creative with how they use it. Anthony in our audience mentioned that he viewed the video to help with his own instructional tips and practices before instructing himself. So there's lots of flexibility and how you can use these resources. All of the student worksheets and all of the activity guides for your students are also included, and then also any answer keys and potential solutions. So every element that goes into a well-structured lesson is included, and it's free in the Ozobot lesson library. I also want to mention that our pacing guides, we have kindergarten through 6th through 8th grade. These are also free in Ozobot Classroom. Signing up for an Ozobot Classroom account is also free. We have about 25 to 30 lessons per grade level that you can go through, and you can actually follow those lessons in order to have your students do both color codes and content integration lessons and Ozobot Blockly lessons. And they're very similar to some of the lessons that Anthony modeled and demoed for you earlier. But quickly, I do want to show you some of the basics. If you aren't able to and don't have the time to do all 25 or 30 lessons with your students, we do recommend that you start with the basics, which is Get to Know Evo, which focuses on the hardware components of the bot, because we do believe that students need to be grounded and centered in the hardware and understanding what components make up the bot before they jump into the abstract learning of the coding and computer science aspect of it. We also have the Intro to Color Codes introductory lesson and the Introduction to Ozobot Blockly. We highly, highly, highly recommend that you all start there. But if you do have more time, we do have video lessons for Introduction to Color Codes, where you can see here, we actually go through every single type of color code in our color code chart. Students learn how to use them, they practice, and then you can see lesson 5 and lesson 9, these are skills checks. We've broken them up by grade level bands according to CSTA and the standards that CSTA outlines as what students should be able to know, and made them developmentally appropriate. So Anthony showed you one example of a skills check, but there are other examples where students take what they learned and apply those concepts to solve a problem. In our introduction to Ozobot Blockly, we've actually split this up into 2 different series. We go through computer science basics, where we actually go through all of the essential and basic skills that students need to be able to use Ozobot Blockly or any type of block-based coding platform successfully and on their own or in lessons. So you can see here again, we have 2 skills checks, but we go through all of the basics. In 2nd through 5th grade, it's more developmentally appropriate. So the rigor is still there, but it's different than what we have for middle school. And these middle school lessons can absolutely apply to high school students as well, if they have not had a lot of exposure to coding or need to go back and review and build that foundation. So you can see here that in our middle school series, we go a little bit deeper into conditional statements, variables, debugging, line following, because we know that those middle school students can handle it. And again, this is their introductory content to Ozobot Blockly. So I do want to show us some examples of the content integration. So in 5th grade, we know that math and place values and number forms is really important. In this lesson, students are using the randomization feature of the bot. I'm going to play a quick clip of the video, but essentially the bot, when it comes to an intersection, the bot will choose randomly. So the bot is used as an engagement tool for your students here. And they get to choose the color codes to have the bot display a behavior, but the bot will actually travel to different arms of this map and help the students choose the digits. So for example, if the bot travels to 8, then I would write 8 in the first spot for standard form. If it travels to, let's say, 2 would go in the second spot. And then if it travels to 9 would go in the third spot, so on and so forth. And that's when students create the standard form of the number, the word form of the number, and the expanded form of the number. And I'm going to show you just how these instructional videos look and feel, just so you can get an idea. Again, this is to help you or any teachers that you work with and your students just get more comfortable and implementing and working with robots. Ozobot is ready to make a 6-digit number. Are you? We'll place our bot on start. Then we'll watch as it follows the pathway until it gets to a digit. Once it reaches a digit, we will write this digit in the hundreds place under standard form. My bot made it to the number 1. In the first place here, I will write 1. Then we'll repeat this 5 times to program Ozobot to move from start to complete my decimal number. My second number is 0. My third number is 9. Since it's truly random, your bot might choose the same number multiple times. How many digits or places will your number have when you are done? So you can see we were super intentional. This is just one chapter out of the whole video. The videos are about 10 minutes long. We try to keep them under 10 minutes as much as we can, because we know that we want students to stay engaged and to stay focused, and we just want to have them engage and participate in the lesson rather than viewing a video. So with that, I do want to mention that they're broken up very similar in these digestible chapters. And at the end of each of these chapters, we stop and we ask students, there's a call to action for them to actually follow along so that they can get through the lesson by watching the video, if that's how you would like them to guide their own learning. there is the opportunity for that. I do also want to mention that every video does start with an introduction where we front load any information students might need to know. We tell them what materials they need, and we go over the objectives of the lesson. So we take all of that heavy lifting off of you so students know exactly what's expected of them and what their lesson will look like. We are going to share this slide deck and it will be publicly available. So there are more video clips for you to explore when you if you want to come back and view those video clips, but there's more examples there for you. I do want to share an ELA example. This is in second grade, prefixes are a standard for Common Core. And so what students do is they take these color code blanks and they put in a line switch code, which will actually direct the bot to jump over this white space or travel over the white space. And then it'll randomly choose an arm to move down. So if my bot moves up and comes down this arm, I would choose the prefix un, record that in my worksheet. And then if it, when the bot travels over the white space, it might go down heat, right? And then I would put that as my root word. Then as a student, I would need to decide, is unheat a real word? I'd mark no. Because it's no, I would use a different prefix. I might use reheat, and then define what that word means. Again, there are clips for you to come back and view. But I do want to make sure that we answer all of the questions, and there's quite a bit more of content for us to get through. But these video examples, again, these videos are free in the lesson library, and you can always come back and watch these clips as well. I do also want to mention that we also have integrated STEAM and SEL into these lessons. I wanted to highlight our gratitude party lesson because Thanksgiving is coming up. We know the holidays are coming up, and we would like students to think outside the box and engage in SEL opportunities and holiday and cultural celebrations as well as much as they can. In this lesson, what students are doing is they're choosing color codes, they're identifying things that they're grateful for, and then they're crafting these nets and decorating them and having their bot travel to a gratitude party. So again, the video clips are there if you'd like to go back and revisit those. So let me show you actually what the final result looks like. Ozobot is ready to head to the gratitude party. Before you put your bot on start, make sure all your color codes are filled in. I'm going to use black marker to not give away any of the answers, but you will have color codes. Also, don't forget that your bot will want to do a bit of dancing when it gets to the party. So fill in green, then blue, so that your bot can do a dance when it gets to the party. Power on and place Ozobot at start. You'll notice in some of those color code blanks, I left them intentionally covered with black marker on purpose because I wanted students to decide on their own and not just copy from a video. So we are also very intentional about not giving all of the answers and making sure students are doing their own thinking as well. Can you dance with your Ozobot? Great. The last thing I wanted to mention as well when it comes to these seasonal and holiday lessons are we are very intentional about being inclusive with all students and students of all backgrounds. So this is a listing of the different holiday lessons that you can find in our lesson library. We are developing more, so there are more to come, but we really want all students to see themselves represented in what they're learning. And so this is our way of contributing to that. And if you have any suggestions for any holidays or seasonal lessons that you'd like to see, please let us know. We're always looking for new ideas and love getting ideas from our users. I noticed that Jeff in the audience mentioned that the lesson library, it's for him, it was confusing to search out each of the individual lessons. So thank you for that comment, Jeff. We are going to pass that on to our team. But I do want to recommend, Jeff, that you can go into the pacing guides, and a really easy way to find them listed out is within the pacing guides. You can click on these links. They are live and they'll take you directly to that lesson. So for everybody else in the audience, you can see here, this is an example of a second grade pacing guide where we actually have scoped out a total of close to 30 lessons. There are some that are still coming soon. They're in development and they will be published soon, along with the holiday lessons as well. And this is a really easy way for you to access all of the things that you're interested in or that are specific to your student's grade level. The other thing I want to mention is that this is hot off the presses today. We are releasing curriculum. So all of the content I just shared before this slide is free in the lesson library. We also understand a need that students and teachers need more content, and they need to deepen their understanding and their interaction with CS. So we've also created full-blown curriculum where we've taken the lessons that that we have just shared, all those introductory lessons. We've done a pre-lesson setting the foundational knowledge, tapping into students' prior knowledge. Then they actually interact with the lesson. There's a QR code that they can scan and watch the video with, or you can display it. And then there's a check for understanding after the lesson within this notebook. And then after that, there's also a code challenge. So there's different ways for you to utilize assessment, checking for understanding, having students think outside the box and apply their what they've just learned. And so that's an opportunity in our curriculum. You can reach out to an account executive or Anthony, what's the best way to inquire more about this?
That is a good question. Yeah, that is a good question. We can do BDU at Ozobot or sales at Ozobot,
Yeah.
any of those.
Yeah, perfect. Or at the end in our wrap-up slide, we'll also have support. So if you have any questions about Ozobot curriculum, please don't hesitate to reach out. Our team has worked really, really hard to make comprehensive, implementable, easy lift. There's minimal prep for teachers to utilize this content. It's all done for you. Again, with the idea that we really believe all students should have access, all students should have these opportunities. And we know that teachers, it's really tough right now for y'all. So we really, really wanted to make that a priority. The other things I wanted to mention as well is that Ozobot Classroom is free, so you can sign in and create a free account and access the lesson materials. The curriculum notebook is something that is a item that is being sold because it is a physical item, but all of the main lesson content is in Ozobot Classroom. It's all the extension opportunities and the front loading before the lesson that come in the curriculum. The other thing I wanted to mention is that with these video lessons and with all of this content, there is something that we have created called Student View. So when you go into Ozobot Classroom, you can see details of the lesson, but you also have the Share with Students button. We've made it super easy for you to share this with your students. When you click on Share with Students, you get a copy link button, and you can share this in your own LMS or however you communicate and contact your students. If this is something that you want them to work on independently, you can assign them with this link. When students click on the link, they go to our student view where you can see the video is already embedded, the chapters are on the right, and then all of the information they need to complete the lesson successfully is down below for them as well. Again, we really, really have prioritized accessibility. We really wanted to be inclusive so that all students have these opportunities. All of our content is created with accessibility in mind. So the chaptered videos were intentionally created so that students can self-pace and self-guide, go back and review content if they need it, and learn at their own pace. We have auditory and visual guidance and text instructions for students who might need that extra support. We really want to address the tech gap so that we intentionally integrated a lot of computer science with content integration, because we know teachers, you are being asked to teach more and you're not getting any more time in the day. So we wanted to be really, really cognizant of that and support you in integrating computer science. Ozobot is for any grade level and any skill level, and we also support students who have color vision deficiency in our color code chart and all of our materials. So now is time for Q&A. It looks like we have 3 Q&As in the chat. Does Ozobot read the color code backwards, or what color codes does Ozobot read front to back? And when it does a U-turn, does it read the colors that way? Very good question, Tracy. Anthony, would you like to take that one, or would you like me to answer that question?
Yeah, I could take a first pass at it, and then
Sure.
you can correct all the areas that I'm wrong. Oh man, I'm blanking. We have symmetric codes and asymmetric codes, and that is part of what you'll see in the pacing guide, one of the early lessons. And so symmetric codes, let's say red, blue, red, could be read regardless of the direction Evo is coming from. It's read this as the same code, right? Red, blue, red. So that is a symmetric code. So either way, the resulting action is going to be the same, versus a color code of, say, red, green, going one direction, it would read it red, green, versus the other direction, it would read as green, red. And in that case, it would be an asymmetric color code, and it would actually cause Evo to do a different action based on that. Is that a good explanation, Melissa?
Yeah, and I think in regards to the U-turn specifically as well, there are, in the introductory lessons, we go over the suggestions and rules for color codes. They do need to be a certain distance apart. So when the bot reads 2 color codes that are too close together, sometimes it won't register the second color code. So when you're thinking about a U-turn code and when it turns around, it will, I believe it technically senses the colors, but because it's still executing the U-turn, it doesn't read it on the way back, or it doesn't necessarily execute it on the way back. So great question, Tracy. Let us know if there's more clarification we can do for you. Where can we get the color codes, and can we program it to different directions? So there is a color code chart online. Anthony or Heather, if you could drop that into the chat, that might be helpful. And there are line switch and directional color codes that you can follow in that color code chart. Tyrone, great question. Are there any built-in quizzes or assessments in the curriculum? So what we have created, we know that this curriculum will be used differently in every classroom. So we don't necessarily use the, in the student version, we don't necessarily use like assessment as the key term when they're engaging with the workbook and actually doing the work. They're actually, I believe the terms are code challenge and oh my gosh, there's another one, not a show what you know, but the code challenge and like an application challenge essentially, or debugging challenge. And those can be used as exit tickets, as assessments. It's really up to you as a teacher. We really wanted to build in that flexibility for you. In the student view, is there a type of dictation for pre-readers? I'm actually not sure. Let me ask our team that might know and get back to you. Do you mind taking the next question, Anthony? I want to see if I can get an answer to Tyrone's question.
I'm gonna mess up your name, sorry. Anas? How long the session should be, or is it recommended to be? I believe our K2 lessons are expected around 30 minutes. And then anything above that is around 45 minutes and sometimes a little bit longer than that. And then another question was how many lessons per session? Usually one lesson, would that be right, Melissa?
Yeah, I think it depends on how much time you have. One would probably be ideal. Going back to how long the session could be, if you're looking at the free lesson just within Ozobot Classroom, that is probably about 45 minutes to an hour long. If you're working out of the curriculum workbook with your students, you could split that up into a week-long activity. You could do the front-loading piece one day, then dive into the actual lesson that's 45 minutes to an hour the next day. The next day, students could spend half an hour on the debugging challenge, and the day after that, they could spend a half hour or 45 minutes on the coding challenge. It's really up to you. Again, we built in that flexibility because we know it's going to be used differently based on teachers' needs and different circumstances.
And to that earlier question, I don't think we have, and we'll wait for the official response on dictation, but I don't think we have anything for that specifically. But I know a lot of educators find a Chrome extension to kind of help with that.
Yeah, and
like a text to speech.
Right, and there is a speaker in the video who, if the just the auditory is enough for you, but if there is, I just don't know if there's like subtitles. That's what I'm not sure if that feature is there. But there is oral backings to all of the instructions, and there's text instructions down below for students to read if they're able to read. Looks like Jeff has a question. Ozobot can be programmed with lines, Blockly, and with actual code. Is this true? Anthony, would you like to take that
Python editor is in beta. We're in phase 1 of that. And I don't know if we've talked about this already, Jeff. If I haven't, let's make sure we connect and I can get you added to the beta list. I should know this offhand, but unfortunately I don't remember. So I will check with that on my end.
Great. Where can I buy chargers that allow me to charge more than one Ozobot? Those cradles, I believe, are in our Ozobot Shopify. Is that accurate, Anthony?
The chargers are only sold in the Classroom kit.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So we tend to recommend just kind of looking on Amazon for a multi-USB charger. There's quite a few options out there. I think as long as it's 2.0 or 3.0, it's compatible.
Great. Ozobot Blockly can be used with iPads. It can be used on a web browser, on a laptop computer. If you go to ozoblockly.com. And are there any other devices that were compatible?
Sorry, I missed it. I was reading the chat.
Yes, no problem.
I'm sure you listed them all.
Yes, Ozobot Blockly, iPads and web browser on a laptop, correct? Any other devices?
Chromebooks and Windows 10 devices are, oh yeah, it's a web browser based. The difference with iPads is you're going to probably be doing flash loading versus like Chromebooks and Windows 10 devices. Those will have that Bluetooth support. But it is, yeah, it's web browser, so it's, as long as you're using Chrome browser, it should be pretty good.
All right, and I did notice that it looks like Melody is asking about grants for STEM out there. We do have a grant writing tool. If that's something of interest to you, there's a lot of really helpful language to help you write grants and hopefully secure them that a lot of our users have found success with. So if that's something of interest to you, I think we can post that in the chat, or you can email us for more information. And we have a question about flash loading. So flash loading is if you are unable to connect through Bluetooth, there is the ability for the bot underneath to use a flashing on the screen. You hold your bot up to the screen and the code gets flashed onto the bot. And that's something that you can check out on ozoblockly.com. We do recommend using Bluetooth. It's much simpler and straightforward and quicker, but flash loading is a backup in case your Bluetooth isn't working or doesn't work out for you. how is the Blockly code given to the Ozobot from a Chromebook or iPad? So yeah, exactly. Great question. So if your bot and your computer are Bluetooth capable, then you can use Bluetooth to send the code, and that's the way that we recommend. If not, then there's the flash loading option, which you can explore on ozoblockly.com. All right, so I think that takes us to our wrap up. Oh, it looks like our engineers have actually responded to our question about the dictation. It looks like it's not something we currently support, but if that's something you'd like to see, please feel free to email us at support@ozobot.com so that we can follow up with you on that. But yes, if you would like a demo, if you need bots, you can request a demo at ozobot.com. If you are interested in Ozobot but have not gotten bots yet, you can try it out for free with our Ozobot Blockly challenges. These are games on ozobot.com. Educational games, coding challenges that we have that use block-based coding to get the bot through certain challenges. So on this page, you can see there's a simulator, there's Ozotown, there's Shape Tracer 1 and Shape Tracer 2. And the objectives of these are, you can see I've already gone through 3 of the levels, but students are building code to get their bot to glow the same color and trace the shape of what's on screen here. So that's a really, really great way to get your students introduced. And then also, yeah, you can sign up for a free Ozobot account and complete free training that we have in Ozobot Classroom and explore our lessons. So, Julie, thank you so much for that comment about the text to speech. That's really helpful to know, and we really appreciate that. We'll take that feedback to our team. And please don't hesitate to ever reach out to us if we can be of support or help. Support@ozobot.com would be your main contact. And if you all are looking for PD certificates, you can email support@ozobot.com and they will get you that certificate. So thank you everyone for joining us today. We know times are just really, really challenging. Thank you for all that you do for your students and their families and for your communities. We really appreciate it. And we are so thankful that you took the time to spend with us today. So please, again, don't hesitate to reach out if there's anything we can do to support you. Have a great evening and see you all soon.